Let's come back to the code and let's start to explain the proliferation of this word numbers everywhere. So which name actually matters? When you subscribe to numbers, you need to find a publication called numbers. That has to match. The publish has to match the subscribe. What's less obvious is this numbers there and this one there. So what happens is each document, let's go back to the actual output here. Each document that comes back names the client-side collection that it thinks it should belong to. So although it is a convention for all these four to match, we could really call this nums and call this nums. And let's just change this value so we see something different. Hit save. Nums is the name of the collection, and when we call the DDP, we'll see now that this says I am a document, I am headed for the nums collection. So you need to have a Meteor collection defined on the client with that name, and that has to be ready when the subscription basically when the subscription happens. If you don't start collecting things right away into a collection of the same name, then basically you won't be able to do things with them. So even if your subscription and collection are named different things, these have to match. So when you use Mongo, taking care of the names is kind of done for you, but it's something you want to be aware of when you're doing custom publications. And of course, this name here, numbers collection, it can really be whatever you want as long as your helpers and other things refer to it. It could be foobar collection. That's not important. What's important is this name matches this name. Now we get to something weird, but quite cool. Because each document that comes from a publication names its collection, you can do some strange things. For example, suppose we wanted to target a different collection based on whether the number was odd or even. So this says if the remainder divided by 2 is truly, 1, then put it in the odds collection. If it is not truly, or 0, put it in the evens collection, and then target that collection. And in order to make that work, you will now have to, you can still get by with just subscribing to the numbers publication, but you will have to target odds and evens, and then call this the odds collection and the evens collection. And let's see, let's come back up to the user interface, and we can declare this one to be odds, each odd numbers. And we'll need to do our helpers, and then we can dupe this and say evens. And go to our helpers here, odd numbers, odds collection dot find, and even numbers, evens collection. Did I do that right? Odds collection, evens collection. There you go. So we have filled 2 different collections from one subscription, and that's totally legit. Totally legit, even if it is a little bit weird. So now let me get back to one last thing about this, and I'm actually going to try to correct my screen layout so that we can see a little bit more of, shoot. All right, I think I've got this layout figured out. We're going to display the screen layout so you can see in the web browser the messages that are going back and forth. Notice the web browser has a little more conversation going on than the raw DDP. But here you see that we have subscribed to a collection, and you see the objects coming back 1 through 10, and then the ready message, and then some ping pong going on between the client and server. That's normal. And here is the question. You saw all of our 1 through 10 coming back. If I were to go here and say meteor.subscribe numbers 12, what would be sent? Make your guess. And let's look up here. We do have the numbers. So now come back to the network pane, and here's you see where the ready message was sent after 10, and then there was some time that elapsed, and then we did our Meteor subscribe, and only 11 and 12 came back. That was an incremental update. It's really good to know that that is how Meteor behaves. And the reason it behaves that way is that we have a session. This web browser is stateful. It has a session with the server, and the server has kept track that for this particular browser we have sent 1 through 10, so we only need to send 11 and 12. If we go to DDP land and do this raw subscribing to 12, of course this does not share that session, so you need to get all 12 documents. So I hope this helps demystify what's going on, particularly with the argument here, the first argument to the added method. In that means it's the name of the Meteor collection that the document should target. And also that publications and collections are not one-to-one. In fact, one publication publishes many documents. Each document specifies a given collection, so in fact one publication can fill many collections, as you've seen. Also, when you subscribe and change the parameter, the browser only receives the increments, so it's pretty safe to resubscribe if you already have those items in your collection, and if you have not sent a removed message from the publication, then you'll only get the incremental updates. And also, as you look through DDP tools, you can see perhaps why they chose to name this method added, because that's the name of the DDP message, added. I always thought it would make more sense to say publication.add. Why is this in the past tense? It's very unusual for method names to be in the past tense, but they're keeping it close to the DDP language going on underneath. So there it is. I hope you enjoyed this. Please push your envelopes with publications and let me know if you find this interesting. There is a gist that I will publish in the show notes where you can use all this code and experiment with it to your heart's content. Thanks for watching.